Hi, I'm Chody Shifter, professional racing driver, and when I'm not racing vehicles, I'm usually sitting on the downstairs toilet or in a motorway services on my smart telephone, sifting through ad after ad of interesting vehicles from caringclassic.com. You should try it too. There's many to choose from, and you can even sell them free on classifieds or off of an auction. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Smith & Sniff is sponsored by caringclassic.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Smith and Sniff!
Let it finish. Let it run.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for coming. This is Smith & Sniff live in Bristol.
Bristol.
It's always that nervous moment where you say something like, are they going to clap again?
No.
Or are they all clapped out?
Strictly pre-internet, this is.
Yeah.
Don't show people any of this technology
Yeah.
outside of this building.
Someone had a brilliant suggestion for this when I said we're going to put the link up online. They went, no, just put little flyers all around the city.
Brilliant
People
idea.
show up. That's how they do it in the 90s.
Fax your friends.
Yes.
Get them to fax
well,
others.
I paged a lot of my friends.
Oh, have
Yeah,
you?
just sent them a pager. Come to my shit gig. And some of them have turned up, actually.
They have, they're over there.
Got a row of mates, well, half a row of mates. I haven't got that many mates. Anyway, welcome. Thank you for coming to this live recording of the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. It means a lot. We don't have a set agenda for this. In fact, we don't have a set agenda for anything that we've ever done. Yeah. So I would like to tell you what we're going to do, but I don't really know.
No. Well, I come bearing news.
What?
Right, so we talk, obviously, a bit on the podcast normally about no-name, full suspension mountain bike guy. If you listen to the show, you'll know this. Every town's got one.
Yeah, they do. I saw one today.
Did you?
Yeah.
Mackenzie crook-faced, flaxen-haired, roly smoking chap on an unbranded mountain bike.
Army
probably
surplus trousers.
With aggressive shocks on the front
Yeah.
and back. And
unoiled chain.
We
You
don't
already
know what
said
he does. He might sell drugs. He might mow municipal cricket pitches for a living. He might live on a barge. We're just not sure.
Yeah.
He's a man of mystery. But I had a moment of deep joy.
He's not an
when
international man, or is he? He's just national.
very
national
regional.
Man
A regional man of mystery.
A county man of mystery. Yeah.
And so I was filled with deep joy when a few weeks ago I saw what I believed to be our city's no-name full suspension mountain bike guy in Bath/Bath, where I live. But I have a shattering piece of news for you.
There's another one.
No.
So that was a DJ Khaled quote. I'm sorry about that. So that's one of his two quotes. I'll think of the other one later.
What's the other one? I'm really sorry.
We
for
the
all
best
this.
music.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
No, so I saw what I think is no-name full suspension mountain bike guy yesterday in Bath/Bath.
Yeah.
He's got a car.
Piss off. Piss off. That's too relevant to the podcast for one thing. Which it was Angus.
Well, maybe he's heard. Maybe he's branching out.
What's he got?
Well,
Share it.
can you guess?
K11 Micro.
106. Six-wheel.
He's got a Carmichael.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Or a MOT exempt because it's absolutely.
Oh,
brilliant.
MOT exempt would be good
He
play
would love
from I can't do it. No, Mark V Golf.
No, that's Dead Auntie's car. Sorry, no, I meant they're good. I mean, but I'm not saying every Mark V
Condolences
Golf
for your auntie.
Hang on, you just strongly opposed it and then went, yeah, actually.
I hate people who wear glasses. Oh shit! Wow, these things on my face.
So hang on, he's got a Mark. It's borrowed from an aunt who may or may not be alive. It's not that relevant. It's not his.
I have extra information. Now, the first piece of information is I was alerted to this gentleman's presence as he almost drove into me on a roundabout. He came in hot. But it was my right of way. I was already on the roundabout, and I believe, unless you're in France in the old days, that makes me in the right.
Totally.
But so he anchored it on. I went round the roundabout, and then he's up my arse, following me up the street that I'm going up. And
30 limit? Is this a
I just heard someone mutter, "What a tit."
Stroker.
That's fantastic, thank you. Interactive. This is sort of what I was saying, but I was also mesmerised because I looked in the mirror and there he was, hollow of cheek and strawy of hair.
Was he inhaling old school roll up with
He
the
had
window?
the window down and the elbow out, but I couldn't see a tab on the go.
Okay.
But maybe he just finished it.
Or it was resting in the ashtray. And the auntie who isn't dead, I've just decided she's not dead, she's going to want the car back tomorrow.
He's got to air that car out then.
Yeah, he's got to...
Well, anyway, he was airing it out by having the windows down and driving like an absolute bell piece as fast as he could up my arse. And when the road then split and there's a filter lane to go to the right, he took it and overtook me and the car in front, and then he cut in front of a Jewson's lorry, and then there was beeping. Because of the lorry, I couldn't see. I just assumed he's been a ring piece. There's beeping. Because he didn't need the filter lane. He was using it as an overtaking lane. This is textbook. And then I was in the car with my boy, so I didn't want to drive in a silly or dangerous way, but I did want to catch this fucker and have another look at him.
So what did you do?
Well, another car peeled off, but there's still the Jewson truck.
Yeah.
So I'm like, as if I'm going for an overtaking move in 5 mile an hour traffic.
Is this Bath's version of Bullet?
Yes.
2020.
Yeah.
So no name suspension bike guy in a borrowed Golf, probably on cheap tyres. One of them's 10 psi, so slightly slouchy. And you're like trying to get in front of the Jewson's lorry that's just in the way. Are you looking under it? It's one of those high lorries where you can see under them a bit.
No, it was...
Not like an upskirt thing. It's just...
Excuse me, I can see your prop shaft. So, no, it was... I sort of edged out towards the white line, and then I realised he was doing the same, because he's clearly looking for
he's
angles
looking for
to
exits.
go round. And then I noticed, not just any Mark V Golf, it was a 2-litre FSI.
Oh... FS.
I love our audience because they didn't just go...
Full suspension injection.
Full suspension in the boot because I've borrowed Auntie June's car.
It's full suspension inside, and that's what's written on the boot.
Yeah,
it's
instead of Intel inside.
Exactly,
it's
FS
suspension.
inside.
But no, that, I believe, is a rare car.
Is it?
Yeah, because everyone bought the diesel still back then, or they just bought, a lower petrol. I don't think many people bought a 2-litre petrol Golf that's not a GTI.
And he didn't buy it.
Well...
Because he doesn't own it.
No.
Because we know he doesn't own it.
Yeah.
We just know.
So, I'll report back when I know more.
Yeah.
But if anyone else, I don't know if anyone else lives in Bath or Bath, but keep them peeled, because he's out there. And
I
probably
hate the
that
fact...
far from your back bumper until
I
you
hate
can
the
use
fact it's migrating to cars. Really ruins
Well, it opens
for me.
up all manner of possibilities. Like, it means he can probably mow municipal cricket pitches slightly further away from his narrowboat.
That's true. That's what it is. He was going to a job interview.
Oh.
That's exactly what it was. He had to borrow a car to get to a job interview. Was it raining?
No, it was hot yesterday.
Oh, shit. Okay, that ruins the
Hot and dry. Like his hair. Well, it's just, that's the thing, because if you have to shower under, like, a thing, the shower head's that big and it's also there, and you have to do that, like I think you have to do on narrowboats, and the water pressure is like a child blowing through a straw.
Oh, awful.
It's hard to wash your hair properly.
Yeah.
So just don't.
Yeah, just don't.
Become one of those people who goes, it cleans itself.
Sting doesn't wash his hair, or he didn't used to in the 90s.
What?
Sting didn't used to wash, definitely in the 90s, but I don't know so much these days.
Is that because his accountant had taken 20% of his shampoo? There's a topical joke for you.
I genuinely don't know.
Oh, okay.
No, but I know,
We'll find out.
because a friend of mine sat next to him on a train once. It's actually true. That is true. I haven't written that down, I just remembered it.
You're full of surprises. Earlier on, Johnny and I were talking, and for some reason, the subject of being trapped in a lift came up, and I said, have you ever been trapped in a lift? And Johnny went, yeah, I rather enjoyed it.
Oh, it was great. No phone signal, and just nice and peaceful and quiet for a while. Also, this wasn't the time I got trapped. I like to lift bounce. Does anybody lift bounce? Hands up who Hands up who lift bounces. Yeah, I mean, it sends the shits up so many people.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's got a backup rope. There's always a backup rope. It doesn't just have one rope, does it?
You're not John McClane.
It's just
what are
not
you
a
going to do
cliff.
next? Like, get out on the roof and shimmy up it?
Yeah, it's just great. I'm not afraid, especially the massive ones in America. You can get a proper bounce on, and people are terrified.
Are they?
Yeah, it's great. It's good. You should try it sometime.
No.
Yeah,
No, absolutely not.
Full suspension bike, I would love it. He's used to it. He's used to
Isn't
it.
it what I used to love in the old days was going to the cockpit of a plane and just waggling the sticks around a bit. People love it. Well, some people love it. Pilots less so. But I have something else that I observed the other day on the mean streets of downtown Bath.
Talk to me. That's what this is for, this podcast.
So really it's a question, which is, do you believe, as I now do, that someone can have a Saaby face? Because I think they can, and do. I saw a man with a Saaby face this week.
What? Saaby face?
Wasabi face.
What's Saaby?
No, obviously there's a context to this, which is the context of him sitting in a Saab, which sort of pulled it into focus.
We saw a guy in a Saab. Who's the guy in the Saab that came here?
Saab Cabrio?
Saab Cabrio guy, somewhere over there.
So I thought there's a bloke who looks like Richard Coulter, and then there's a bloke who is Johnny Smith.
And I was like, Saab Cabrio guy. And he had a hat on. You had a hat on, didn't you?
Where did you come from in your Saab Cabrio?
North Bristol.
Oh, okay.
Sweet
Sweet
car.
journey.
It looked great. It looked good. It did look good. Yes, I saw that.
It was duly noted.
It had a neat waistline. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Don't say that to everybody. Sweet waistline.
Well, I'm sorry, we can't see you through the gloom, sir, but so we can't be sure if you have a Saab face. But I saw a gentleman this week, he was in a 9.3 estate, and I just went past him as he was waiting to come out of a junction. And because I immediately went, there's a 9.3 estate, that's a nice thing to see.
Yeah.
But then I looked at this chap and I was like, he's got a Saab face. A kindly face.
A trustworthy face.
A trustworthy face. A slightly artsy face.
Arty face.
He was an older gentleman, I would say in his late 50s.
Yes.
But he had a good mop of hair, thick hair, curly hair, Saab hair.
Yeah. He'll have a Bauhaus book in the downstairs toilet.
Yes, he will.
Yeah.
I imagine his trousers are incredibly baggy. Corduroy, perhaps.
Yes.
Or
pleated, billowing.
Maybe Pierce Brosnan in GoldenEye Spectre.
Yes, exactly. I was just trying to say Pierce Brosnan in Bond trousers.
Private viewing at an art gallery trousers.
Yeah.
In Bath.
Yes.
And then he gets back in the Saab, goes home, has a glass of Merlot.
Amazing.
Reads a book on architecture.
I want to be that guy.
But he had a Saaby face, and that's not a criticism. If anything, it's a compliment.
No, it's a compliment. Now you've.
But it left me wondering as well, this poor guy, what kind of car is he going to put his face in next?
He's a Saab protectionist. He's
the Saab protection.
He'll keep going. Well, there's that dealer in Cambridge who used to be a Saab dealer, and they didn't want to give up being a Saab dealer, even though there's no Saabs to sell new. So obviously, they
just lie to people.
They're like the biggest.
Long delivery time on this, I'm afraid.
Well, they basically bought all the Saab parts they could find in Britain, and they still get Saab parts off of Sweden.
Yeah.
And so that you can get any Saab parts from them, but yet they're an MG dealer. Or they were an MG dealer. They also were a Chevrolet dealer.
That's the thing.
They picked some amazing dealers. Actually, in fact, you've just reminded
DeLoreans, we used to do those.
I did a killer deal where I agreed to buy the huge illuminating Chevrolet sign from the dealer because I found it behind the dealership. I went round there looking at something, looking for a wee, and I said, "What are you doing with that?" And he said, "£100, you can have it." But the problem is they come in 9-foot pieces. I can't put them in any car. And I bought them 2 years ago.
What, so you technically own them, but you don't have them?
Yeah. And I don't live that far from Cambridge either. I just haven't hired a van yet.
This is a bit of a story, though, isn't it? Because what else do you own but don't have?
Oh, there's a few things. Well, it's almost metaphorical. What do you own but you don't have?
Does anyone ever own anything?
Yeah, quite.
I can't remember what I was going to say about Saab. Oh, no, the Saab, sorry. So, yes, the Saab dealer is hanging on in there, keeping the faith, but can't actually sell Saabs. And they're keeping people... That's why that man still had a kindly and relaxed face, because he knows that if he needs to get a water pump...
Yeah.
Well, he could probably prize one off a Vectra, to be honest, couldn't he? But if not, if it's Saab-specific...
But what the Saab dealer guys do, they have lots of return customers. It's a very friendly fellowship, the Saab fellowship, I find.
Yeah.
Am I right? True. Right? I've asked all of the owners, including him. And so he said when they come to the end of wanting that car and want to chip it in for a newer Saab, it's usually a newer Saab, they'll always bring them back to them.
Oh,
So they're controlling the game,
interesting.
but in a very polite, upstanding way.
Would you mind if we controlled the
Not
game?
in an aggressive
please,
drug dealing
be my
way.
guest. Yeah, yeah.
So it's quite nice. We've said this before on previous casts, I've never owned a Saab.
No,
I'd love
me
to.
neither.
I need to own one at some point.
Talking of garage signs, do you remember people, even if you've not been to leafy London, you've seen the pictures of the old Bristol Cars showroom. And it famously had those red neon signs that said Bristol Cars, and we had a gag on Top Gear for years, which was James May's gag, that we used to call them Bisto Arse, because individual letters were always going out on the sign.
Bisto arse.
Bisto Arse, which I don't think it ever actually said that, but it could have done.
Nearly had a bit of that when we went running earlier.
Yeah. Well, that's because we ate a curry at quarter
We
to
had
11
a very
at night.
late curry and then woke up and went running. It's not a great combination, I have to say.
No. And
A
it
little
was
bit of
hot.
anti-lag turbo going on. Got to be careful. Got to be so careful. And it was street running too. Nowhere to
running.
run, nowhere to hide.
Hilly and hot.
Yeah. Got to be careful.
So, oh yes, Bisto Arse sign.
Yeah.
When they were selling off all the assets of Bisto Arse, they were for sale. 2 sets, one side each. Well, I thought, I'm going to buy those fuckers.
Yeah.
But then I looked. Each letter's like that.
Yeah.
Where are you going to put it?
Well, we'll bring it on these tours with us. These massive stadium tours that we're doing.
But it wouldn't go, the whole thing, wouldn't we just have like buy written on the back of the stage? It was just, there's no room for...
Well, we bring 3 letters each time. We have to
okay.
choose which letters we bring.
People have to guess which letters.
Yeah,
I
that's
hope
it.
They're doing toll tonight.
You should have got James May to buy them.
No, I did try.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought, he's a man of means. They were going for about £1,000.
Is that all? Shit. a bit late now. Anyway.
Is that? I'd never thought of it as that all. I mean, they are a piece of history.
That's
And obviously,
the point.
if you had enough wall space to rig them up, you would have to have the letters.
If
in a
I
way
lived
you
in
could-
Bristol and I lived in a sort of a fairly cool loft apartment type, sort of place where a barista-looking guy would live, or someone from Friends, I would have it on the wall.
Yes.
And
Well,
I'd
that's the
have a
thing.
little remote so I could illuminate and remove.
Oh no, that's you'd need a control panel.
You need a
Just
control
when-
panel.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would do.
I think I wanted to say Stolrus tonight, just for fun.
Let's do this.
But anyway, I don't know who bought them. It wasn't James May. I tried my best. But because often James is very susceptible to you go, oh, James, there's a lovely old whatever for sale. Just seen a nice TR6 for sale, James. You should buy that. And you can see him wavering. But with this, it's like he had a kind of buy shit game mirror to hand, and he just went, I think you should buy it.
Now, Darren, are you in the room tonight, Darren?
Yeah.
Darren, where are you? Cool. Glad you made it. Now listen, am I allowed to tell the story about the car that you bought full of magazines or not?
You can, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. So Darren over there runs a. Am I allowed to say what you do, Darren? Okay. Darren over there. I just don't want to get into trouble.
Am I allowed to say your name, Darren?
Darren runs the 2CV shop, and I was actually filming with him yesterday for an episode of the Late Break Show, and he was regaling, because he buys a lot of 2CVs, regaling a story about once buying a 2CV. Was it a donor car or was it going to be a restoration?
It was a restoration.
Restoration. And the guy that he bought off, by the way, if I'm making up any of this, just heckle me. Yeah, please. And he bought the car, and then basically the guy said, oh, there's some like old magazines in it and stuff like that, but I haven't had time to get rid of them. And were they in the boot or in the rest of the car?
It was in the boot of the car, the back seat in like black bags.
Now, I don't want to get the quantity wrong, but I remember you saying in excess of 150.
Honestly, it was over 150.
And they were
Over 150.
And they were, we're going to say, early to mid 80s vintage adult pamphlets.
Oh.
And when he told me this, I was like, and what did you do with them? Were they in good condition? And I got all a bit Antiques Roadshow on it, you know. Oh, we have an immaculately preserved early 80s penthouse here. Well, we could have rooster-tailed them into a lay-by. That would have been the tradition. But instead, you should have sold them because they're actually worth coin now.
Yeah, and it was first editions as well.
First editions. Yeah.
They were first editions.
Yeah. Who needs an early stamping of rubber soul by the Beatles?
This copy of Knave is very interesting because if you look closely, one of the boobs has been printed upside down, and that makes it more valuable, you see. Next you're going to be telling me they were signed.
Well, what was brilliant about this is I think you thought, on the one hand, they could be worth real money. On the other hand, I feel like a grotty bastard selling them. So you did the only logical thing that you know best. He burnt them all quickly.
Really? Did you burn them all?
I did. I was going to put them on eBay and do like a new name, but no, somebody finds that.
Yeah. Should have sold them under a pseudonym.
The problem is there, though, I think anyone who's ever tried to burn large amounts of paper knows that bits of paper
Yes.
off, like
They do. They
like
do.
ghosts into the air. So you're in fact littering your area.
Did you burn them in your garden?
Sorry?
Did you burn them in your garden?
No, I put,
Auntie's garden, yes. And all her neighbours said, "Oh, they've got a pamphlet come over the fence." Skin-coloured pamphlet. Anyway, thank you for that, Darren.
Wow. I'm going back a step.
They're worth money
You're
now.
selling an old 2CV.
Yeah. Well, he bought it, and it
You've
just
got
had.
bin bags full of bags for life.
I think it's about 6 or 7 big.
Big, like those blue IKEA.
No, the good thing about the blue IKEA things, they've got 4 straps.
And they're strong.
In case 2 give way.
They're strong, yes.
You imagine the bulk of pornography he's carrying around at the back of his old rotten 2CV.
Why did the man selling the 2CV not just take his incredible collection of 80s bongo mags out of the 2CV? Did he think you wanted them?
I was in a garage about 15 years. The gentleman passed away, and his sister passed away.
Hang on. This is even better than I remember yesterday. This is better. Amazing. Yeah. She kept an example of every magazine she appeared in. Is this what this is?
Prolific she was.
Amazing.
Back in the 80s.
Some see it as smut, some see it as art. After all, we are in a theatre.
Yeah.
Police on the way in.
Oh, gosh. Well,
Your
anyway.
2CV's sitting rather low at the back. Actually, it wouldn't, would it? Because of the suspension.
No, it would
A
sit
2CV is a good car for hauling 9 kilo weight of 80s
across
bongo
a ploughed field.
Yes.
Big. Well, of course, that was the premise for the 2CV, as we all well know. Can 2 peasants drive fast across a ploughed field with a load of
very smutty lithographs in the
illegal
back?
skin magazines? Yes, you can. The answer is yes.
I've suddenly thought, I don't know what else is on in this theatre building tonight, because there are other theatres in here. I'm sort of sincerely hoping there's one person who's walked in expecting that it's an evening of Renaissance poetry. And going, I don't recognise this one.
Well, I was, you were saying about things you recognised yesterday or the day before on the way here. I've written down 2 things. If you saw my Instagram, you might have noticed the riding the beaver.
I see you've decided to raise the tone.
This is not a sentence that I use lightly. It's catching the beaver, and then there's also riding the beaver. They're the same, just different ways of saying it. It's a bus company, it turns out, in Leicester. I didn't know this. And on the side of the double-decker bus that I was following for about 12 miles, it was very slow. It was doing 38 in a 60 limit. It just said on the back, "Catch the beaver." And so I spent all this time not being able to overtake and just constantly thinking about whose bright idea. I mean, a bus doesn't look like a beaver. There's no connection to a beaver. Why would you ride the beaver?
I mean,
I don't understand. I'm sorry, I just don't. You just wouldn't, is the answer. You simply wouldn't catch or ride the beaver. Would you? But also, as I was following it, because I was in a state of confusion. I put it on social media, and loads of Leicestershire people went, "Well, it's Ride the Beaver. It's the bus that I went to
school." It was a
school."
stupid question.
Yeah, like you should know that. It's the bus company, and we've all ridden the Beaver. Ever since we were at school, one of them said. And, so I was like, I now know. I'm now informed. So
it's Friday night in Bristol, and you're here listening to this shit when you could be home riding the beaver. So
exactly.
I do apologise.
What?
Ride the badger.
Piss off! You can't ride the badger.
badger, it's quite easy to ride it.
Oh, they succumb easily. But the thing is, who wins? Who wins, a beaver or a badger?
Well, I'm not riding the badger, you'll get TB.
Badger's a tough thing, isn't
Oh,
it?
that reminds me. What were we talking about on the podcast the other week?
Well, something absolutely nonsensical and shit, I would have thought.
Donkeys.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, it was the sort of inhalation noise of the donkey.
Yeah, we're Britain's number one car podcast. Of course we're talking about donkeys.
Yeah.
A listener called Steve Bartlett's written in.
Stephen Bartlett?
Yeah.
What, the successful CEO, man?
Oh, yeah.
Who loves social media?
He's got a Hotmail account.
Oh, of course he has.
They really have. I won't show it to you, but he's got a Hotmail account.
Stephen Bartlett at Hotmail.
So we talked about this in the podcast. I always get... It slightly baffles me when you see Vans and it'll sort of say elite plumbing at hotmail.com. Ultimate luxury decorating at AOL.com. You just go, dude, get a domain name.
You've just reminded me of something. I was picking up my car from an MOT last week, and a lady pulled up who was dropping her car off for an MOT, and on the side of this Land Rover it said bespoke dog walking. And I said good morning to her, and then I just was like, I don't understand what's going on. And then I realised, this dawned on me early then, all companies that say they do something bespoke, I bet they fucking don't. Because all the people that genuinely do bespoke just don't talk about it. They know it's bespoke, it's a given that it's going to be bespoke.
I put it to you, madam, that's an off-the-shelf dog walk you've just done there.
What do you mean a bespoke dog walking?
Or is it she walks bespoke dogs?
What's that, though? I don't even know.
Anyway, Stephen Bartlett took time out from Diary of CEO to send us a message to the wrong email address.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
But we still get them. We do
still get
publicise it. He says, donkeys can be incredibly aggressive. They often take on wild dogs, crocs and hyenas. There are some great videos of donkey attacks on YouTube. Well worth a watch. A very underrated animal.
Is that what he's ended it with?
That's his closing sentence.
Find another.
Yeah.
Oh, you have? Oh, there's a sanctuary down the road.
Oh, yeah, yeah. They breed
there is actually
donkeys.
a donkey sanctuary in the West Country.
I used to work there.
Did you?
You used to work
Well, is it near Sidmouth or Lyme Regis?
We can't see you because of the theatre lighting. Is it a donkey back there? Can someone confirm?
Because I remember that, because Dad, I think you're over there somewhere, we camped in the field next to the donkey sanctuary once, didn't we? And we didn't quite realise until the morning how loud that was going to be. And in the summer at dawn, they all just kick off. And didn't sleep massively well that morning. I was going to... you finished that, didn't you?
I finished that because, that's it. How can you continue an email?
No,
You've got a very underrated creature.
Well, just after riding the beaver, I saw something else interesting on the same journey.
Uh-huh.
And I think I might have told you about it on a WhatsApp when I got to my destination. So, builders' vans or delivery type vans, if there's two guys or women, the one in the passenger seat's usually having a rest, yeah? And in this instance, this van came past and I just saw a load of white cloth just like filling the whole cabin. And I just suddenly went, oh my God, the curtain airbag's gone off. And they just can't be asked to stop. They're just still going. and then we got into sort of a bit of a trafficky situation, so I got another look at them. And I realised it was just a lot of pillows. And there was a person asleep leaning on the door, but it looked like the whole side had been hit, and there was a massive side curtain.
Someone was asleep?
Just someone was asleep.
It wasn't somebody when they went to buy that car, would you like to specify side airbags? They went, no. Not falling for that scam.
Yeah.
Got a plan of my own.
Yeah. Just two big, massive, billowy...
spare room.
Yeah.
Be fine.
Yeah.
As long as we haven't got house guests.
Yeah.
Safe as houses.
As long as we haven't got... you empty the spare room of
bedding. You've got to take the pillows back inside, haven't you?
Yeah, so that was that.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Which was nice.
Is that
yeah, that was
all
it.
you've seen out and about?
Yeah, that was it. That really was it, on that particular journey.
So a slightly smutty sounding bus.
Yeah, well, it was.
And a false sighting of side airbags.
Yes, it was a false sighting. Absolutely.
Okay.
Has anyone ever seen a car driving around with the airbags out? bags out. I doubt it. I mean, because the thing is, they inflate and then they deflate, don't they?
No, the side ones don't. They stay up for a bit.
Oh, true. Okay.
But I've seen.
So that was a legitimate concern.
Someone's had a front end crash that's enough to set the airbags off, but not enough to stop the car driving.
Okay.
And they've done that thing where they just
roll it back in.
Tuck it back in.
Well, like a hernia from the steering wheel.
Yes.
just thumb it back in. It'll be all right. No one needs to see that. Just quickly fold just fold the vinyl over it. Just a piece of gaffer tape.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Have you not seen that?
No.
And then you go, well, if you have another crash,
well, it's not going to work.
Well, you just go to
yeah.
That's it. There's no second goes on airbags. They're a one-shot deal, I believe. But yeah, I saw a car that had been side swiped,
and the curtain was out,
and the curtains were still out.
Brilliant.
Which is.
What about if they stay inflated? Could you take one home and use it as a guest pillow? Could you swap this whole idea around?
I don't know. I know that
guest room side airbags.
This is quite boring, but I'm going to say it anyway because we're amongst friends. When they did that, do you remember in Alan Partridge? There was a scene where he lurches forward, hits something, and the airbag in his Lexus goes off in Lynn's face.
Yes,
but obviously you can't do that with a real airbag. And someone from Lexus told me they had to figure out a way to do a fake airbag, which was basically just a massive balloon with a compressed air thing for a comedy on TV airbag. Because a real airbag goes boom and it's in you.
Oh, it absolutely does.
So, yeah.
I've played football with airbags before for a TV show with professionals setting it all up and stuff. And it was bloody terrifying. In fact, we were trying to fire them into a goal in Norwich Football Club. I don't know what they're called. I don't know much about football.
The Canaries?
Yeah, them. And this went so far, it went through the goal, out the other side, and then there's the massive main building. It nearly smashed a window, which is about 150 metres beyond the goal.
Wait, hang on. Was the airbag inflated?
No,
you were just kicking the steering wheel.
We were attaching it to a battery and letting it fire. We were setting the ball up and letting it hit the ball.
I see.
We were doing penalty shootout with airbags. And we decided to do a World Cup, so we had a German airbag versus an Italian airbag. Versus a British airbag.
Why you've not got a Nobel Prize, I'll never know. That's valuable research.
Do you know which one was the most vicious one? Which one was it? Guess.
The German.
Italian bag.
Was it?
It's the Fiat bag just absolutely... I mean, if anyone had been in front of it, it just would have cannoned them out of the way.
Wow.
It was seriously dangerous.
I wouldn't have expected that.
No, neither would I.
I'd have expected
Which is why I was standing in goal for some of them. And luckily, that one I didn't. It's all on camera somewhere. Don't bother watching it.
Was this the fifth gear?
No.
No,
it's another show. I actually can't remember the name of it. Shit.
Oh.
Anyway, so I've written down race trailers that look like bullet trains. So I've written it in caps, so it's obviously it meant a lot to me at the time. So you know those race trailers that you transport, racing cars in or things that you don't want to get wet? They do all look like Japanese bullet trains. Agree? Yeah, I mean, they're nice. They're really nice. I've had one briefly, but mine was actually orange.
Why did you have one?
For my race car.
Oh, that makes sense.
And
yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, okay. And I didn't want people to nick my tools and stuff. But also, when you get to the racetrack, what you can do is take the car out, put it on... This is boring as hell.
No,
put it under a gazebo and then sleep in the race trailer. Because it's better than a tent. And if you
not got...
No, it's a glass-fibred cocoon.
What's the floor like?
It's quite hard. And it's quite good. You do need to bring some... There's always a guy at the market in the town that I live in who sells memory foam by the metre. You go and see him. Yeah, you just get him and he'll just box cut you a length off and you roll it up, put it in the back of the trunk, just down there, fine, absorbs all the ridges in the race trailer. This is boring as fuck. Anyway, it's fact, I've done it really happened. It's just not massively interesting.
Are we still going down your list?
Oh, I know what I would... Yeah, I've got shitloads to talk about. So we talked about may or may not be deceased Golf spec with no-name suspension.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote down, I'm thinking, more and more people are contacting us about deceased spec vehicles, okay?
Yes.
But I think we need to sort of market it for a younger audience. Right. So why don't we call them Spec D? bit more JDM, bit more drifty.
Yeah.
But so we are going to do some merch on this. We are. So I think if you refer to a car as Spec D, it's sort of like, I worked at a supermarket once and we had different codes for like someone's thieving in the booze aisle.
Yes.
Someone's shat themselves by the freezer units, all that stuff. And it's like code 450 at aisle 10. It's like, someone's dumped themselves. Or all sorts happens at a
That's
supermarket.
because when I worked in a shop.
A tramp has stolen a bottle of Bell's, code 499. It's true. It all happens.
We only had thieving as a code.
Oh, we had all the codes.
It was something like, can Mr. Wilson come to the men's department?
Oh, really?
Something really where you could actually
Oh, you weren't allowed to say, there's a thief.
There's a thief. There's a fucking thief
He's got a buffer jacket on. Get him, grab him.
Yeah. Oh, he's getting on a mountain bike with no branding on it. Shit. Okay.
So, yes, Spec D. I think it should be a thing.
No, I think that's good.
What do we think?
As long as you don't confuse it with Cat D.
Cat D.
D-Spec. Is that better? D-Spec, not Cat C. Did you say Cat C? Oh, Cat D.
No,
Cat D doesn't exist anymore.
No, they got rid of Cat D.
Yeah, they traded her in for... Cat D, she has gone to America. It was a different derivative.
I think we're slightly getting across purposes here, but yeah, Spec D.
That's how she made her name. That is exactly how she made her name.
But then there was a car journal on Twitter last week who bought a proper deceased spec Rover Swift 25.
Dan Trent.
So 25 or 200? 25.
It was extremely deceased spec.
Yeah, but someone went, deceased spec, and he went, have some respect. Someone's just died. It's like, it's not disrespectful to the deceased, but it is a matter of fact.
It's just
they
a fact.
have died and left behind a very low mileage car.
It was.
That they only used once a week to go to the post office.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Spec D.
It leaves us with a plentiful source of ageing Rovers and Nissans that we would otherwise not have. So
Almira Tino.
Almira, a bit big.
When was the last time we saw an Almira Tino? Does anyone give a shit?
No. This is reminding me, because
In fact, while we were running today and I was blowing my O-ring out, did you see that Toyota Yaris Verso?
Yeah.
Pope spec.
Yeah.
And I just looked at it while I was wheezing up this hill, and I was like, that is absolutely textbook allotment spec. In the side pockets at the back, there was definitely a trowel. I did see a trowel and a massive pile of bags for life. All those IKEA ones with the double handles that we talked about. Yeah, that's got allotment spec written all over.
No, it was good, and it was sort of slightly dinged up.
You could put quite a large olive tree in it, it wouldn't even graze the headline. Yeah. It's just perfect for that sort of thing.
This is sort of pertinent to an email that we're really crap at reading out emails, as you may know. And
who sent an email to us before?
Well, yeah, because there was the
hands up.
Yeah, sorry.
It's quite a lot of people.
Sorry.
Have you ever had them read out? No. Okay. Okay, so that's quite sad. Sorry.
We do read them.
We do read them. We just don't always process them.
We're just very forgetful. Johnny stayed at my house last night, and then this morning, after we'd been for a run, which was a mistake, we sat at my kitchen table because we both had work to do.
Yeah.
And we've realised we should
true.
never work in the same room.
Oh, shit.
Because no work got done. And I was speculating that if we got a call and went, that's really sorry, there's been a bit of a cock-up. Unfortunately, you're now the CEO of Microsoft, and he's the COO. But COO?
Yeah, something.
And but I'm afraid you've got to share an office.
Oh.
That company's going down.
Yeah,
because let me tell you, nothing happened this morning. We ended up watching that fucking YouTube clip of the guitarist falling off a chair again.
We did. We must have watched
it like 9 times and then went, let's watch John Travolta failing to introduce Irana Menzel. Wickedly talented.
And neither of those things are car-related.
None of them
We're supposed to be doing car-related material.
We were both supposed to be writing car-related things.
We were. We absolutely were.
So that's...
We're strokers.
Yeah, and we were not... Well, that's the thing. I got some emails together. I thought, well, I'll print out some emails and we can read them out tonight.
You gonna?
And this is sort of pertinent to elderly people and Toyotas.
Okay.
It's from I don't know...
The elderly man in the Toyota.
Someone called Kay. And the email subject line is, Uncle bought Toyota IQ out of spite. So immediately, Kay,
Toyota,
you've got my attention. Says...
Spite purchase.
My auntie and uncle had these 2 acquaintances with which they would go on days out, them all being retired folk. But they hated them.
Well, the people.
Apparently
They
so.
went out with people they hated.
My auntie and uncle used to drive them all in their own car, probably an Avensis or something, even though this other retired couple had their own car, but refused to ever use it.
Oh, is it a
You can
car
see what's
refuser?
coming here.
Okay.
My auntie and uncle got so pissed off with them not ever using their own car, they bought a Toyota IQ, which of course is an absolutely tiny two-seater.
It is.
Just to spite this other retired couple and force them into using their own car on days out,
No
which
way.
they were all bizarrely still enjoying together.
We get some really crooked emails on this podcast. I mean, seriously, but that's up there.
It's-
Buying a car out of spite.
I can
Why
hear
would you
some. I
hang
can
out
hear
with
some.
old people that you don't want?
There's pedantry brewing in the front here, and correctly, because
It's
the
a
IQ
three-seater.
is not a. Well, it's really a 4, but you just can't get anyone. In
I
the
thought it was a
back.
triple. Is it not a triple?
3. Yeah, comfortable 3.
It is a 3 because
Yeah.
you put the passenger seat forward. It's got a dugout for the passenger's legs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no room for a 4th person that you hate,
Oh no.
or anyone that you like.
And if you did you say they go out to the garden centre with them?
I didn't, but you're kind of filling
Oh, I
in the
was just
story
filling
here.
that
But I
in.
think that's probably
You'd
a
have no
fair
room to
guess.
put any of the stuff that you
If you'd
buy.
said a local folly, I would also agree with you. That's probably somewhere they would go. But not anymore. Well, not together anymore.
Right.
Go on.
News just in. In the last, it's not clearly, I've written it down some hours ago. Yesterday I saw one, but the day before I saw one, and I think this is going to be the new no-name full suspension bike guy. It's topless scrappage scheme car guy. Okay. And let me explain this, because I've seen this, and I think that we know there's people in every town or city like this. So yesterday was quite warm, admittedly. But I have seen the one on a previous day when it wasn't that warm. This guy, and the first guy, Mitsubishi Shogun Pinin, I know that's been the source of conversation before. Yeah, sweet. But quite badly panel damaged, actually. And he was driving it very sunburnt with no top on.
Oh,
Okay.
but the seat belt.
I know, there's so many questions. And in this instance, it wasn't very hot. Unless he had the heating on, full bore in the car, maybe the thermostat's wanked or something like that. He has to drive around with it on.
It's stuck on full, so
Yeah, or it's got a water leak or something.
he's
It's
having
just-
to run the heater.
Yeah, she was running it at 30 degrees. I've just answered my own question.
Well, yes and no.
Just can't be bothered to repair it. Just drives it topless everywhere with it on 30. Windows down.
The topless is an extreme reaction, though, isn't it? Or he hates pits. He hates the sweaty pits.
He likes just
He likes to
through
turn up.
air, ram air.
Yeah.
So on the driver's, on the right arm in a right-hand drive car, you get ram air effect on the pit. On the left-hand one, you might have to direct a dial, a vent.
Because you don't want to be in that situation where you sort of go to a very important meeting and you realise you've got a bit of pit action going on in a motorway service area, holding your armpit under a dryer like that.
You can have 50-50 BO. That's what he's like, do you want full BO or do you want 50-50? So the driving side, that's fine. Gear shift aside, a little bit tangy. little bit, little bit of
talks to people like that.
He does. He's sort
Hi,
of,
how you doing? Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, I've written this scrappage scheme because, as we know, when the scrappage scheme came in the recession back in 2008, was it? 2008?
like
There's
that.
a whole swathe of cars that disappeared.
Yeah.
It's quite sad, actually. But these guys are driving in the exact cars that you'd imagine to have been taken off the road. And they're always quite in bad condition.
So they're scrapping agnostics.
They're driving cars that probably should have been scrapped but weren't.
Yeah.
And they're driving them around topless. That's the premise of this. In some cases, it's just not that warm, so why are you doing this?
Topless scrappage survivor cars.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the topless bit's kind of optional.
And it was loud music as well, but standard audio, so the speakers were a little bit like, like that.
I
Paper
just remembered
cones.
those guys in that van this morning.
Oh.
We had a lovely morning, apart from the run, which was a mistake. We went and walked my dog in some local fields. And the...
We found a Mercedes in a hedge as well, which was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took a picture of it, went home, looked up its MOT.
We did. We did.
You'd have done the same. Well, most of you.
We can share this with you, but yeah, we did do
Yeah,
that.
we're amongst friends.
Yeah. It was a sweet
But
example.
yeah, it was a very romantic walk. And But as we were crossing the main road near my house, two blokes went past in a VW van, absolutely pounding the drum and bass.
Builders transport.
At 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it was.
We're like, it's a bit early.
He's
for
very
drum and
aggressive
bass.
D&B as well.
Really aggressive D&B.
Yeah.
And they saw us sort of clocking them and went, "Oh, hey!" like that.
They actually might have done an oi oi.
The tribal
actually.
cry of the van man.
But I'm thinking if they're en route to plastering a roof, that
Yeah.
roof would have got plastered so fast.
Well, we were
They would have been all
speculating
fired up by the time they got there.
how much off-brand energy drink they must have had to need the D&B to be that fast and that aggressive at
Oh, can
9:30
you
in the
imagine?
morning.
But they'll get to their destination, they will have had a skinful of no-name energy drink, and the house they're working at hasn't got a working toilet. And you know that's a dangerous game.
But it's also, if any of them's got like a smart sort of fitness monitoring watch, it's probably going, go to hospital now. Heart palpitations.
You have to set it to D&B mode.
Yes, exactly. Yes. What kind of music do you like? Oh, D&B. Okay, fine. Your threshold
You can
for
go a
beats per
little
minute
high,
is
you can go a bit more.
900.
You'll be fine. You'll be just fine.
Go on. You see,
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I wrote this down a few days ago because I found this quite interesting. Spider Mirror VMAX or Time Attack. So, you know spiders that live in your mirrors?
You can hose them, you can swap
No.
their webs. They're not going away.
So I was on the motorway the other day and I was just checking the blind spot and checking the mirror here. And there was a spider just hanging on in there.
Yeah.
You know, like sort of water skiing or air skiing, whatever you want to call it. He was just hanging on in there. And then after doing that for quite some time, just thought, well, I've got the strength to pull myself back in. Pulled himself back in, went behind the mirror,
Yeah.
because that's what spiders do, right? And I thought, I'll tweak the electric mirror just to see if I can see him. So I tweaked it out and was just going, where's he gone? How far in does he go?
Well, he's like Tom Cruise in one of those Mission Impossible films. He's on the back of the mirror.
It's on the back of the mirror. Yeah. And then I thought, a lot of motorsport's getting a bit boring, which we need to introduce new ideas. So I thought, what about Spider VMAX challenges? So every competitor has to have a spider on board in the mirror.
Yeah. Now,
And then I have thought of some other rules. Hang on. And then you have to go as fast as you can, and then scrutineering check that the spider's the same spider.
oh what? Because it turned out the Belgian team had been ringing spiders.
Oh, well, you can imagine you're doing the cool down lap, letting everything cool a little, and your co-driver just quickly gets a matchbox out and just throws another spider in there.
Yeah.
Just exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very valid point, actually.
Yeah. Because it could have been buying drugs off the dark web.
Oh. I didn't bring the snare drum and the cymbal. Fuck. I just brought a bag of warm chips. Yeah. Actually, they're cold.
Feel free to throw some at me.
Yeah.
It's
That
all I
was
deserve.
awful. What do you think? Time attack, spider,
I
mirror?
don't see the competitive element because there's no way any of those spiders are going anywhere. They're mirror spiders.
They are.
It's a breed. You've got one on your Insight at the moment, I
Well,
noticed.
that was the thing that I was admiring. And I
We
just,
drove here in Johnny's Insight.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've had a hell of a day.
yeah.
And I noticed you got a mirror spider.
You did. It's got a huge web.
And I
It's
thought-
very impressive.
Because in a way, they're plucky little fellas, aren't they?
I don't like people
don't
that
like
squash
to sort of-
spiders because they don't carry germs, whereas flies are bastards and they're dirty.
The spiders
Flies
not carry
should die. Spiders are
germs.
protectors
Well, they're getting rid of the flies.
because they kill the dirty bastards. Yeah.
Yes.
So keep the spiders.
See, I live in a spider-hating household, so I have to kill
Is that
spiders.
true, Jules? You hate spiders.
Yeah, she hates spiders.
Don't do that. They don't carry germs. But remember, a fly lands on poo or vomit and then lands on maybe a part of you or your food with the legs covered in poo or vomit from somewhere
Spiders
else.
just going about its business. Just dreams of getting inside the mirror on a Nissan GTR and going for a joyride. But
It reminds me of well-travelled flies as well, because well-travelled flies, have you ever got on an aeroplane and as you're sitting down and possibly having an argument with someone about what the definition of hand luggage is, you notice, you notice, who are these fuckers who bring like bags?
It's a fridge freezer, you twat. Put it in the hold.
I mean, it literally takes 10 minutes to wait at the other end, but you fill someone else's overhead bit and then everyone has an argument with somebody else about the fact that the bit above their head is now
But
full.
have you ever done that inside Europe business travel-y type flight? Usually on Lufthansa, it's a good business airline.
Yeah.
And everybody's carry-on because they're just going to Dusseldorf for the day.
Yeah.
But somehow they
For
need to have a
business.
change of trousers for business. Or maybe they're overnight. but one night.
Yes.
Because they're definitely carry-on only. And I did that once. I went to Warsaw.
Did you?
Flew there.
For Business?
For Business.
Yeah.
I was doing a book signing.
Of course you were.
Which is weird.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the latest
So he was
Dan
actually
Brown,
signing a load of
weirdly.
special magazines. And but unfortunately someone burnt them.
Yeah. Which one do you want me to sign, the left or the right? So I went to Warsaw to do a book signing, which is a fucking nightmare because everybody comes up and they'll go, hello, my name is Peter. And you'll go, how do you spell that? And then it's got 19 letters.
CJV.
But I flew there on an A320, normal-sized short-haul aeroplane.
Yes.
I did carry on, so I was one of those twats with my fridge freezer going in the overhead. But it was fine. We just about got everything in. Flying back the next day, got on this plane, I was like, I thought it was an A320. It wasn't. It was some fucking 7/8 replica of a normal plane. So all of the overhead bins are smaller. There were fights in the aisles. Because everyone's going, well, it fitted on the way out. And I was sitting there, I was going, this plane's smaller, or I've got bigger.
Gulliver's Travels.
Would you ever have that feeling, or like the twits, where you kind of go, is someone fucking with me? Have they made a 7/8 A320 just to mess with my... You're getting taller, Rich. Get back in your car at the airport,
What did you do?
See what happens. We've made a whole new Heathrow just to mess with your head.
Did the lady say just put it down by your feet?
No, there was some proper aggro.
Yeah.
Some blokes getting really narky.
Yeah.
Because they're... Anyway.
With pleated chinos on.
Tell us more about business travel within Europe, Rich. It's fascinating.
Well, exactly. Let's look at my list. Oh! Okay, here's something. Here's something.
Go on.
Not motorsport spiders, we've done that. The Royal Mail. Now, listen. I've got this theory, young people don't send letters anymore.
No, they don't.
I think that's universally agreed, right? I bloody might.
He enjoyed getting trapped in a lift. He might
I actually
send
don't.
letters.
Do you know what I do? I write things on Post-its and then photograph them and then send them to the person who... I do! Bloody do! All right? And I draw dicks sometimes on them as
Were
well.
you on that 7/8 scale aeroplane? It's a bit fucking aggressive, mate.
So I'm thinking, it's a given that you order things, online, like products to be delivered. That's parcels.
Yeah.
But when it comes to things like letters,
Yeah.
there's an issue.
Yeah.
There's a shortage. So they need a campaign.
Yeah.
Well, for young people, so it might appeal to a more JDM audience, let's say.
Okay.
They need a campaign called Full Send. All right? It's full send. Yeah. It's aimed at a young audience. And, people always say full send, don't they? I don't understand.
So you could have, who do young people like?
DJ Khaled.
I'm not even going to look at the audience because you're all here on a Friday night, so let's be honest, I don't think there's many.
Yeah, but they're all going to a D&B event.
Oh, are they? This is just the warm-up.
Yeah, this is the warm-up.
I don't know. Let's say, I was going to say Ollie Murs, and that's way off.
What?
He's on Radio 2.
You stroker.
I don't know.
What do you mean, Ollie Murs?
I've blanked on someone that young people like. Harry Styles. Everyone likes Harry Styles.
Well, everybody does. He's universal.
He's lovely. His music's good, and he
But
wears
he doesn't-
grandma's blouse.
But what I mean is the full send.
Yeah, but I was going to say, so you get Harry Styles in the ad campaign,
Yeah, that's expensive.
put in a letter, but he's doing, what do they say on the Drifters? Back it in.
Yes, you can back it in.
So the Drift people, it's back in a letter.
Yeah.
into
Giving it the
post
full
box.
send.
Yeah, full send.
And he's quite northern, so it would sound quite good if he said it.
Of course, it does say send on an email button as well.
The full send.
I see the full send because it's a physical.
Has to be a physical thing, otherwise the Royal Mail's going to go under.
Send it to the Royal Mail and
I'm going to pitch it.
post it to them first class, and they'll get it in 6 to 9 months.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant.
Useless fuckers.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'll post them the ideas on Post-its.
That post-it that you did of that other podcast logo is still the funniest thing I think I've ever seen in my life.
They'll
We
never
can't
see
talk
that.
about
We'll never
There's
see
another
it.
podcast that there's nothing wrong with the podcast, but they have a logo which
There is something wrong with it. One of the guys is a dick.
Oh yeah. But we're not going to tell you which one.
He's got the worst taste in cars. The worst taste in cars. And I say that as a man with terrible taste in cars.
But they have a logo we thought was quite funny, and then Johnny one day sent me a picture of a post-it with his version of their logo. It was a bit more. Well, one of them certainly had his knob out more than in the original, and they were both a bit more bandy-legged. Swarthy.
I was going through a low patch.
No, it's
when
I
was
wish we
drawing
could
it.
share it, but I feel it would be a bit rude. Because, we're fine wants to talk, aren't we? But
Anytime you have a stressful week, I will send
it is
to
that.
you.
It's that. If I'm ever just need cheering up, I look at that picture or play the guitarist falling off the chair. Does everyone know about the guitarist falling off the chair? It's the single
It is
greatest.
the funniest video on the internet. It really is.
It's when your boy started like.
Okay.
Here's
a song. Yeah.
Which is good. What did you tell me that your son started doing in the shower? Oh, fairground calling.
Yes. So I think so.
Sorry, that's not a euphemism. That sounded terrible. It's not.
I think we talked about it on an earlier cast because in February the travelling fair came to my town and it's a big one. It's been going since the 17th century. That's not that interesting.
But they didn't have badly airbrushed pictures of Nigel Mansell in the 17th century, did they? That's a more recent introduction.
That's true. Yeah, or Kylie Minogue.
Your
It looks like
dance
she's
being
been
played
street
over some
fighting.
very tinny speakers. Again,
Yes.
They probably had lute music over very tinny speakers back then. Madrigals, I don't know. String quartet.
Forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say? I can't even remember. Oh, it's the fun
your
music.
son's doing
Yeah,
fairground
so
calling.
when we were going around the fun fair, I mean, I spent 180 quid one night just on rides. I mean, seriously, poo the bed. That was a lot of cash.
Is it tokens?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do the tokens, don't they? They just get you with the tokens.
I'll spend a lot of cash.
I'll have
It
another
was
£20
great.
on the tokens, please.
But of course, my son, who's got a very photographic memory, which I like about him, he was listening to what anyone was saying in any of the kiosks. And for weeks and weeks afterwards, we noticed, me and my daughter, when he went into the shower in the morning or in the evening, we'd hear him going there, washing his hair or something, and then going, go, 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 go. Outside's the best side, here we go. And I'm going, what? Who's he talking to? and my daughter's just cracking up going, he's just doing all the funfair narration. I think she said narration. Which I really liked. Funfair narration.
I've never really thought that each fairground ride has its own sort of hype man.
It's amazing. One guy, he took the money in the kiosk, and he was quite low pitch voice chap. Then they got in the line, and I just watched them, like dads do. I did go on a couple of rides, but I was rinsing so much cash, I thought I'll let them go on. So I was watching them, and then I heard this really high pitched, like, okay, here we go, let's go. And I was like, is that just a pre-record? No, it's the guy. It's the same guy.
He's got a voice.
Got a hell of a
to do it.
Yeah.
He's got a range.
He could go on Bristol's Got Talent. Honestly, it was amazing. It just sounded like a different person.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, amazing.
Fair play to him. We should start manoeuvring this towards the exits, but
I don't even know
what
what
else is
we've
on the
been
list? What's on the thing?
Oh, there's a shed load on my list. Okay. Oh, I saw a guy. I don't know, did I tell you about this in a previous podcast? I saw a guy. I was driving again, so I couldn't take a photo, unfortunately. He was on a very fast e-bike, probably tweaked. I reckon he's had it mapped because it was going really fast with not a lot of pedal movement. You know those ones. So sort of the pedals are doing that, and he's doing 28 miles an hour. Totally illegal. But what really worried me was he was doing that one-handed, holding a huge strimmer in the other hand. and as he was coming the other way on the pathway, and I was driving in the traffic, I was thinking he's going to have a massive tank slapper in a minute. And what are you going to do? You've got one hand on the bar, which must be the throttle or whatever. No, it's not the throttle, is it? You pedal. So he's got one brake. He can't access the other brake because his hand's holding the... So he's only on the front brake.
Are we sure the strimmer wasn't running?
I've got no idea.
And this was the way he was propelling himself. Like a very thin propellers.
Honestly, that's one of the other things I've written down.
What, very thin propellers?
No, I wrote it the other day. I was just going to bed and I just suddenly had this thought about, I put those boats in foreign countries, which are basically third world cigarette boats, shallow, narrow hulls and engines perched right on the back with no protection and an extremely long drive shaft that can be lifted out of the water.
I think there's a name for them.
What are they called?
What, sorry?
I think it's Longtail.
Longtail. In
Do you know the
Thailand,
ones?
would that be right? Yeah.
They're in Thailand. Extremely dangerous looking craft.
Yeah. With a
Huge engine, but on a boat that looks like it couldn't carry the engine. And, it's this high out the water, so if you were to just lean like that, it would just totally capsize.
Yeah.
And then the drive shaft is like twice as long as this stage.
But is that not because the water is very shallow?
I've got no fucking idea. I just thought they were in a bar one night drinking loads of beer. And they went, all these boats look so boring.
How long do you reckon
Deep
you could
hull,
make
safe.
your prop shaft? Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the prop shaft is ridiculous.
We really should wrap this up. Before we do, I just wanted to read out another email from Rob Allen.
Donkeys or hyenas?
No, it's not donkeys, although they are a very underrated animal.
Find another.
I don't actually know what the email is entitled "On the Princess Anne Side of Things."
Oh,
So again, Rob immediately had my attention. But he says there's an apocryphal, hopefully true Princess Anne story in the rowing world, which goes like this. She was at the opening of the National Water Sports Centre at Home Pierrepoint in Nottingham, basically in Nottingham, Rob, I think you'll find. At this event, a local dignitary was showing her a part of the complex reserved for certain water sport activities. He was, no. Don't be dirty. He was meant to say, Your Majesty, this is where the youngsters launch their punts and canoes. When the inevitable spoonerism occurred, Princess Anne didn't miss a beat and simply said, oh, what's a panu? So, thank you, Rob, for that. I hope it's true, and if you find out what kind of car Princess Anne drives, do let us know.
let us know. We're
Currently a mystery.
Yeah.
But we really do have to bring this to a close now. Before we do, though, we have three things to tell you. They are: one, Johnny has a solo YouTube channel.
Oh, gosh.
In which he repeatedly campaigns for the imprisonment of a popular ginger-haired comedian for her crimes of putting incorrect VINs on recently restored cars. That's right, it's called The Incarcerate Catherine Tate for Her Chassis Plate Backdate Show. This week, Johnny is on the phone to the police outside Catherine's house while angrily looking at a 1960s Mini that plainly has 1980s backlights on it. If that's not to your taste, there's always The Late Break Show, lots of excellent videos about cars and people who love them on there. Go and check it out. I'm sure you already have, but go and check it out again, but harder.
Yeah, like every week, check it out.
The second thing I have to say is thank you to the Tobacco Factory for having us. And thank you to everyone here for coming along. We really do appreciate it. As we've said, it's Friday night in Bristol. You could be doing anything and you've chosen to come here. So we do appreciate that.
We are your drum and bass warm-up act.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you to Lisa, who you may have met on our merchandise stall as well, and who is the only organised component in this otherwise rather messy machine. And the third thing I've got to tell you is that Michael J. Fox's middle name is Andrew.
What? Hang on.
Yeah, this is true.
How'd you spell that?
Yes, how'd you spell that?
It's got a silent J.
It's got a...
Andrew.
Hang on, did John Travolta say his name wrong?
He's a great guy. I loved him in... he's, of course, my... no, it's not John Travolta not knowing the names of people. He went to register with the Screen Actors Guild, and they already had someone called Michael Fox on their books, and he realised he would have to think of something else, but he realised that Michael A. Fox didn't sound that great. And he is Canadian, and so there's also people in Canada say A a lot as well, and he just thought it sounded stupid in a Canadian accent, so he just picked another letter. And just J was it. So the J stands for nothing.
Well, there we go.
Obviously, M stands for nothing.
I think it stands for jangle.
Yes.
I'm going to say it's jangle.
Yeah.
The yang of jingle.
Okay. Well, on that philosophical note,
I realised I was going to start this podcast by shouting out transit so that the crowd would say sport. And I never did. Can I do it now?
Go on then.
Can we finish with that? Yeah. It's a bit of audience participation. It's like a typical panto scenario. I say transit, you say sport. Transit. Sport. That was phenomenal. Way better. Way better. Thank you. Sorry. That was flipping brilliant. I was going to do 3 versions to build up to that. I didn't need to.
No, they'd already got it.
That was stage 3.
And on that terrifying window into how cults start, we should probably bring things to a close. But thank you ever so much for coming tonight. Thank you at home for listening. We'll do this all again soon. Until then, goodbye.
Bye then. Bye.